يا هلا والله. اليوم عندنا صاحب براند Escentric Molecule, Geza Schoen, the perfumer and the magician. Welcome to UAE.
Thank you.
Geza. And pleasure to meet you here in the UAE. And I believe the brand now is completing 20 years.
That's right.
Since beginning, and it has, let's say, a fingerprint in the perfumery industry. People, they change their way of using fragrances. First of all, I would like to ask you about Escentric Molecule and the story behind the single molecule that you started using.
I think it's probably best to go back to the moment when I smelled Icy Super for the first time, which was 35 years ago. It was in Holzminden. I had just started the education to become a perfumer, so I smelled ingredients, not just naturals, but also all the chemicals in particular, which was exciting. Because until then, I only had smelled completed fragrances, which were in the market. And in those days, there weren't many fragrances in the market. I mean, these days you have 100-fold the amount of fragrances. So I remember where I sat, in what room I sat, when I smelled Icy Super for the first time. It was, even back then, mesmerizing. I then very soon took a little sample and gave it to a friend of mine. We went out at the weekend in our hometown, and he just had a drop here, a drop there, and we just stood there, and it took maybe maximum 10 minutes for this woman to come round and say, "Who smells so nice here?" Oh. So this was really a very decisive sort of moment, just because it meant that you could lure somebody who obviously liked fragrance, but with just a single chemical ingredient, and she wanted to know who smells so nice here. So that was really, that was the initial moment when I realized, hang on, you don't actually need a fragrance, you just need one ingredient, and that happens. So that was when the initial moment took place.
When you started creating two lines, let's say the Escentric line and the Molecule. Molecule was only iso super, and Escentric was like combination of ingredients, let's say.
Absolutely. I mean, all the Escentrics are more traditional fragrances, but they, or as I would always describe them, they are the homage to the molecule. So I smell the molecule, and the molecule basically dictates where the journey is going. That's why, for example, the reason why we're here with Escentric O2, double the dosage of the current product, of current Escentric O2, because this is our bestseller in this area of the world. We wanted to obviously bond even stronger with the people here, so we decided to come up with a double the dosage. So the Extrait de Parfum has 30% dosage, which is crazy, because I think the regular one works already quite well, because there's such a high amount of amboxan in it, which is so long lasting and makes it so radiant. So, but then people want something extra, so we gave them the Extrait de Parfum. And and also, as you can see here, we have a
Cap, finally.
Finally. So, so far we only have it for this product, but we felt it because it's also way more expensive, obviously, than the first one, the Escentric O2, and it needed a really properly engineered cap, which this really is.
So it is the same bottle, but with a cap.
It's the same bottle. It's a slightly similar print, and it has obviously the super cap on top. There's real gold on the bottle.
Amazing.
I'm sure people will appreciate that. Yeah. So we can adapt for market needs and react quite quickly. So that product is actually exclusive for this area.
Great. We really appreciate it. That's something specific for this region. But let's go back again to minimalism and the minimalistic style of the brand. When you started the brand, the bottles are like without cap, very simple, and also you started with Molecule 01, And after some time, you started to add on the M Plus collection.
Yeah.
So what makes you start to add things to M series?
Yeah, so the whole M Plus collection came along when I noticed that whenever I showed my wife fragrances I was working on, she would always pick the one with iris in it. And I thought, you really like iris, don't you? And she said, I don't know what iris is. So I showed her some iris ingredients and she said, yeah, that's really nice, I really like that. So she said, why don't you make me a fragrance with a lot of iris? I said, I could try. So M Plus Iris started. I obviously had access to IFF's ingredients. They had this incredibly concentrated and powerful Iris Absolu Pallida, which is a quality from Italy. It costs 65,000 euros a kilogram. That is probably the world's most expensive ingredients you can use. So I used 2.5 parts of that Iris Absolu Pallida, which already, I mean, that's only 2.5 parts out of 1,000 you need to form a kilogram, because fragrances ideally are sold in kilograms or tons. So you work on 1,000, and I still had to fill 997.5 parts in my formula. So I also thought iris is such a subtle and beautiful smell. It's so powdery and adds a powderiness to every fragrance you put it in. I thought I can't have very much around it, because otherwise things will overlayer the beautiful smell of iris on its own. So I thought, let's see what an enormous amount of IC Super does with that. It worked so well. It smelled great. It smelled modern. It was really radiant and diffusive, and the silage in the room was stunning. So at some point I then sent that to my colleagues in London and said, hey, I think we got something here. So my wife started wearing the fragrance. She got lots of compliments from people at work, and so I said, I think we got something here. We just need to see how we can actually frame it into what we do at Escentric Molecules. So I spoke to my partner Paul, and I looked at the formula and I said, well, actually it's nothing else but like, this is like molecular 1 plus 1.
Okay.
So we decided to stay simple, obviously, because that's what we like. So we called it M plus. And so the whole series now, we have launched 7 M pluses. There is an 8th one coming up in January, and there is a 9th one coming up in July next year. So we by then have 9 M pluses.
Wow.
I think every single one makes sense. I've also tried lots of other ingredients to add to molecular 1 and see if the 1 plus 1 theory would work, and some just really didn't work. They just didn't amalgamate. They didn't make it. So we obviously didn't launch them. But yeah, M plus, it all started with M plus Iris.
And I believe this is the most calm, powdery kind of. But also I really like the M plus ginger, M plus gaiac, and the patchouli is insane. It gives you the earthiness, greenness, very elegant, let's say.
That's absolutely right. You described it very well in your words. I also agree that M plus patchouli is very elegant, because it has obviously tons of patchouli in it, but the amount of IC Super makes it really sophisticated and light and modern, and sort of it freshens it up almost. But I think, I think it's great if there's something for everyone. Not everyone would love patchouli, because you either love it or hate it.
Exactly.
There's nothing in between. So, but we have so many other simple, easy to wear fragrances. I heard some people also really like layering it a lot, which of course everybody's free to do that. So I think we still are very different to other fragrance brands, but we also are very wearable with what we do, and I like that.
Yeah, very simplistic and minimalist.
Exactly.
And let's talk about the last variation of M plus
Cistus.
Cistus.
Yeah, there we go. M plus Cistus. So Cistus is a particular cut of the Cistus labdanum plant, which grows in the Mediterranean area wildly everywhere. When the summer's really out and it's really hot, you can almost like go through certain areas, and the aroma of the labdanum Cistus just comes up So we've used a particular quality from IFF, which is called Cistus Absolute Colorless. It was so pure and lovely that I did M plus Cistus with this particular quality. We used 4% of the Cistus Absolute, which is very expensive, but we don't really care about price, so that's easy. And I'm sure this will not be for everyone, but if you are into leathery sort of summer notes, because to me this is very summery as well, even though it's sort of leathery and dark, but it's sort of a scent which only comes up in summer when the plant actually produces the resin, because it's scorching heat, and it produces the resin to kind of like protect the plant. So this is how this happens, and we also didn't have anything leathery really in our collection. So that's also why it
maybe it satisfies the people who likes the leathery side, but also I feel that there is like some woody, incensey kind of from the labdanum.
That's right. I also touched it up. There is a tiny bit of incense in it. There's also a little bit of a top note with, I think, just some pink pepper and some bergamot to have an entrance, because some of these ingredients, they are really dry down base notes. So they don't come to life till later. So to have or to give people an easy entrance to a fragrance, I have actually touched up some of the M pluses with sort of top notes, but just for that initial moment, just so you have an entrance into the fragrance. Same here for Cistus. The predominant note is clearly Cistus, but there's touches of other things around it. But it's M plus Cistus.
But you feel it's like a complete scent, let's say.
Yeah, it still is very simple. I would say most of the, or all of the M pluses are what they say. I mean, M plus mandarin is
it is mandarin,
and that's it. Yet the mandarin note is not just mandarin oil. I used lots of ingredients to, for example, in this case, take the mandarin note more into the heart and even into the dry down, so that it just lasts longer. Because if you'd only be using mandarin oil, it just like goes like this. And mandarin doesn't have very much lasting power. So I worked to make the ingredients we mention, to make them better, if you like.
I want to talk about Escentric 02 and the difference between this one and the previous
regular
one.
Yeah. Listen, it's I think we doubled the dosage.
I saved it to experience it with the creator, let's say.
Right. So there you go. It's a trio of bases I used in the top note. I remember when I wanted to obviously make the fragrance for Amboxan, it needed to have this kind of fizzy mineral freshness. So I came up with a trio of impressions. One is Almdudler, which is an Austrian lemonade that you drink when you go skiing, sort of this scenario. And it's based on elderflower. So most important flavor-giving ingredient of Almdudler is elderflower. So this was one part. The second part is gin and tonic, which you will know, because we've all had a gin and tonic, right? And the third part is when you open up an Apple product, a computer, a laptop, whatever it is, there is this particular smell coming up. And I've never got them sussed about whether they add that themselves, but I do presume actually that it's a mix of all the packaging ingredients plus the computer and the newness of a product. This creates like an overall sort of smell, which I find quite attractive. And so this is the trio. It's a gin and tonic, it's an Almdudler, and it's an Apple laptop. And these three together create the top note. And in the dry down you have obviously 30.5% of Amboxan, which is definitely the largest amount of Amboxan ever used to 18 years ago. I'm sure these days you see even higher dosages. but the fragrance is truly original. I worked on that for a long time. I needed to keep it fresh, but the freshness needed to be new, with that effervescence sort of cocktail in the back of my head, and that's what became Escentric O2.
Amazing description, and I like how you took the imagination from the Apple product box to a bottle.
That's right.
It's really elegant. It has the same character of the original one, but more intense. The ambroxan is giving you the amber vibe in a very elegant way.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I'm wearing now one of your perfumes. I don't know if you can.
I also smell something like oud. Is that possible?
And I'm wearing only one of your perfumes, which is my favorite now.
Which is?
Escentric 5.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I believe this is a complete masculine scent, let's say.
Listen, I'm so happy you mentioned that, because Escentric 05 is nothing but my trial to, I mean, obviously Cashmeran is the chemical, so there's, I think, 15% of Cashmeran in the fragrance, but it's my trial to reflect on summer differently. So when I was in Mallorca, in the Mediterranean, one day I was just walking over this cobblestone path, an old cobblestone road, and we're just walking over it, and all of a sudden it smelled of Cashmeran, which is not possible because it's a chemical which doesn't occur in nature.
Yeah.
But there was a clear Cashmeran note in the area, and I thought, that's crazy. And then with all the other elements you were surrounded by, you know, imagine you're in the Mediterranean, it's warm, it's hot, there's a fig tree, there's rosemary, they do the best orange juice in the world in Soyer, clearly, it's like fantastic. And there's so many natural elements around you that it just dawned on me, like, of course, you know, I can turn this into a fragrance. So Escentric 05 became an alternative summer fragrance.
As I told you, it is like a complete end-to-end from the beginning till it calms down. I really enjoy it, and whoever smells it on me, immediately they give a compliment.
Oh, fabulous, okay.
Yeah, I would like to thank you for the whole collection, but that one is specific.
Oh, super, that's fantastic, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
That's cool.
Our interview was really short but informative, and really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
And at least in the end, we had to know about the brand, the new creations, the story behind them. And I will advise everyone who want to experience Escentric 02 advanced way to go and try the Extrait. Thank you very much, Geza. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.